Welcome back, everyone. This is part 2 of the Level 5 Bomber of my new Unsolved Mysteries Iceberg series, where we will cover almost everything from alien civilizations to government mysteries. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this series, and of course, thank you for watching. LAX Unknown Jetpack Man. The mystery of the Jetpack Man has puzzled authorities and aviation enthusiasts alike since reports first emerged in 2020. Pilots flying in and out of Los Angeles International Airport, LAX, began reporting sightings of an unidentified person flying a jetpack near their aircraft. These sightings, which continued sporadically over the next couple of years, led to a series of investigations by the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and the FBI. Yet, the identity and origin of this jetpack operator remain unknown. The first reported sighting occurred in August 2020 when 2 airline pilots reported seeing a person with a jetpack flying at an altitude of around 3,000 feet. Subsequent sightings, some as high as 6,000 feet, only deepen the mystery. Notably, the jetpack sightings appeared to occur near the flight paths of incoming and outgoing planes, sparking safety concerns due to the proximity of a potential collision. Authorities explored various theories to explain the sightings. One theory suggested it could have been a drone made to look like a person on a jetpack. However, video footage captured by a flight training instructor in December 2021 seemed to show an actual humanoid figure flying in the area. Despite extensive investigations and collaborations between the FAA and law enforcement, no clear evidence has been found to identify the jetpack user, and no one has come forward to claim responsibility. Some speculate that the Jetpack Man could be a high-tech inventor testing advanced jetpack technology, while others believe it could be a publicity stunt or even a rogue drone operation. Despite the lack of definitive answers, the Jetpack Man sightings have captivated the public, adding a sense of intrigue to the otherwise structured world of air travel. The case remains open, and authorities continue to monitor LAX airspace for unusual activity. The mystery of the LAX Jetpack Man is a testament to the allure of the unknown and the possibilities of modern technology, leaving many to wonder if they'll ever uncover the truth behind this high-flying enigma. Brandon Swanson. Brandon Swanson's mysterious disappearance in May 2008 has left his family and the public grasping for answers ever since. On the night of May 13th, 19-year-old Brandon was driving home from a party in Canby, Minnesota, when his car got stuck in a ditch near the town of Lind. Unable to get his vehicle free, he called his parents around midnight, asking them to pick him up. He explained that he could see lights in the distance and believed he was near Lind, and they agreed to drive out and get him. Brandon stayed on the phone with his parents as they attempted to locate him. For nearly an hour, he described his surroundings and tried to help them find him. At one point, he decided to walk towards the lights he saw, thinking he could reach the town and meet them there. His parents kept talking with him to make sure he was safe. But suddenly, Brandon shouted, "Oh, shh!" and the call abruptly ended. Concerned, his parents tried to call him back repeatedly, but he never answered. Searches for Brandon began the following day, with police and volunteers combing the area where his car had been found. Despite extensive efforts and the use of dogs, helicopters, and even sonar equipment, no trace of him was ever uncovered. His last known location turned out to be miles away from where he had initially thought, adding to the confusion about what had happened that night. The nearby Yellow Medicine River became a focal point of the search, as authorities speculated he might have fallen in. However, extensive searches of the water yielded no clues. Over the years, theories emerged about what happened to Brandon. Some believe he may have succumbed to the elements and disorientation after falling into the river or wandering too far into rural farmland. Others speculate he might have been injured or met with foul play, but no evidence has ever been found to substantiate any of these theories, leaving Brandon's fate one of Minnesota's most haunting unsolved mysteries. Brandon Swanson's story continues to capture the attention of true crime enthusiasts and the community as his family holds on to hope for answers. To this day, his disappearance remains a chilling reminder of how quickly someone can vanish without a trace, leaving questions that may never be fully resolved. Princesa Doe. Princess Doe is the name given to an unidentified young woman whose body was discovered in Blairstown, New Jersey on July 15, 1982. Found in the Cedar Ridge Cemetery, she had been beaten beyond recognition and left in a secluded area, sparking one of New Jersey's longest-running unsolved mysteries. Investigators estimate that Princess Doe was between 14 and 18 years old, but due to the extent of her injuries, identifying her through traditional means proved impossible. From the beginning, police made exhaustive efforts to identify her, publishing her likeness and details about the case nationwide. Her appearance and clothing suggested she might have been a runaway, and authorities feared she could have been another victim of the growing trend of teenage girls falling prey to human trafficking. Despite these efforts, Princess Doe's identity has remained a mystery, as no missing persons reports matched her description and all leads turned up empty. In the decades since her discovery, various theories and suspects have surfaced. A possible connection was drawn to a serial killer named Henry Lee Lucas, who was active in the area around the time of her death. Lucas confessed to her murder, but he later recanted, casting doubt on his involvement. Over the years, numerous other theories were explored, with some suggesting she may have been from out of state or even another country. Forensic techniques, including attempts at DNA profiling, have been used to identify her and possible relatives, but these efforts have yet to yield results. In 2012, as part of an effort to reawaken public interest in the case, police released a revised composite sketch based on the latest forensic reconstructions. They hoped this new sketch might jog someone's memory and lead to her identification. Unfortunately, as of now, no one has come forward to confirm who Princess Doe was or how she came to her tragic end. The story of Princess Doe has become a poignant symbol for unidentified victims, and her case has led to stronger advocacy and support for missing and unidentified person investigations. She was even honored with a gravestone in the Cedar Ridge Cemetery bearing the name Princess Doe to ensure she is not forgotten. Helios 552. Helios Airways Flight 522, often referred to as the Ghost Plane, met a tragic end on August 14, 2005. The Boeing 737 was en route from Larnaca, Cyprus, to Athens, Greece, carrying 121 passengers and crew members. Shortly after takeoff, the crew reported issues with the air conditioning system, which seemed to cause the cabin to depressurize. Despite attempts to diagnose the problem, it appears the plane's pressurization was set incorrectly, and the cabin oxygen levels began to drop rapidly, causing the passengers and crew to lose consciousness due to hypoxia. As the aircraft approached Greek airspace, air traffic controllers were unable to establish contact, prompting the Greek military to scramble two F-16 fighter jets to intercept it. The fighter pilots witnessed a chilling sight. The plane's captain was slumped over and the co-pilot's seat was empty. Most passengers were also unconscious or slumped in their seats, visibly affected by the lack of oxygen. A flight attendant, Andreas Prodromo, who held a commercial pilot's license, was seen moving through the cockpit, trying to regain control. He attempted to save the plane, but unfortunately, it was too late. Shortly after his appearance, the plane ran out of fuel and crashed into a mountainous area near Grammatico, Greece. The crash investigation, led by the Greek Air Accident Investigation and Aviation Safety Board, found that a pressurization switch had been set incorrectly to manual rather than auto during a maintenance check prior to the flight. This meant that as the plane ascended, the cabin was not pressurized, leading to hypoxia as oxygen levels fell. The crew mistook the issue for an air conditioning problem and did not realize the danger in time to address it. This tragic oversight was exacerbated by alarm system failures and the captain's inability to recognize the correct warning signals, contributing to the rapid progression of events that left no time for corrective actions. In the wake of the accident, Helios Airways faced immense scrutiny. The incident highlighted significant gaps in safety training and protocol adherence within the airline, resulting in regulatory changes and stricter guidelines for airlines worldwide. Families of the victims fought for justice, and the airline was eventually found liable for negligence, which led to compensation claims and ultimately the airline's financial decline and closure in 2006. Helios Flight 522 remains a haunting reminder of how small errors in aviation can lead to catastrophic consequences. The tragic tale of the ghost plane is often cited as a case study for the importance of rigorous safety checks, proper protocol adherence, and the critical role of pressurization in modern aviation safety. The incident stands as a solemn lesson for the industry, underlining the importance of swift recognition and response to warning signs to prevent similar tragedies in the future. Lisa Mcpherson. Lisa Mcpherson, a dedicated member of the Church of Scientology, became a symbol of controversy and mystery following her untimely death on December 5, 1995. Born in Texas in 1959, Lisa joined Scientology as a young adult and moved to Clearwater, Florida, which served as a significant hub for the church. By all accounts, she was deeply committed to her faith, even working for a Scientology-owned company in the area. However, her life took a tragic turn after she was involved in a minor car accident in Clearwater on November 18, 1995. Following the accident, Lisa exhibited signs of severe psychological distress. Witnesses reported that she undressed and stated she needed help, expressing a desire for spiritual healing. She was taken to a local hospital, but shortly after her arrival, fellow Scientologists intervened, insisting that she receive care within the church. Lisa was subsequently transferred to the church's flag land base in Clearwater, where Scientology staff kept her in isolation, intending to administer a rest and relaxation program designed to address her distress. Over the next 17 days, Lisa's condition deteriorated under the church's care. Records from the autopsy revealed that she was severely dehydrated, malnourished, and had bruises and insect bites. It appeared that she had been denied adequate medical treatment, and on December 5, 1995, after a lengthy period of isolation, she was driven to a hospital in Newport Richey, Florida. By the time she arrived, she had already passed away. Her death certificate initially listed a blood clot caused by dehydration and bed rest as the cause of death, which triggered a series of investigations and sparked public outrage. The fallout from Lisa Mcpherson's death led to legal battles and intense media scrutiny of the Church of Scientology. The state of Florida charged the church with 2 felonies: abuse or neglect of a disabled adult and practicing medicine without a license. However, after prolonged legal proceedings and intense defense by the church's legal team, these charges were dropped in 2000 due to insufficient evidence. Nevertheless, Mcpherson's family pursued a wrongful death lawsuit, which was eventually settled out of court in 2004 under undisclosed terms. Lisa Mcpherson's story brought significant public attention to the practices of the Church of Scientology, especially concerning its handling of mental health issues. Her death remains a point of contention and debate among critics of the church, who argue that her life could have been saved if she had received appropriate medical care. For many, Lisa's story serves as a somber reminder of the potential dangers of unconventional treatment methods and the challenges in balancing religious freedom with medical responsibility. Today, her legacy continues to resonate with those advocating for greater oversight and accountability in religious institutions, sparking ongoing conversations about mental health, spirituality, and human rights. Manuel Buendia. Manuel Buendia, a revered Mexican journalist, became a symbol of fearless investigative reporting and a tragic reminder of the dangers faced by journalists in Mexico. Born in 1926, Buendia built a name for himself as one of Mexico's most respected journalists through his widely read column, Red Privada, Private Network. Known for his relentless pursuit of the truth, Buendia's work often focused on issues of corruption, drug trafficking, and the interplay between Mexican politics and organized crime. Throughout his career, Buendia exposed numerous high-profile scandals, leaving a lasting impact on Mexican journalism. Buendia's career spanned several decades, and his columns were known for their biting critiques of those in power. He wasn't afraid to dig deep into sensitive subjects, which often put him at odds with the government and influential figures in Mexico. In the 1980s, he became particularly concerned with the growing influence of drug cartels and the connections between drug traffickers and the political establishment. His fearless reporting on these issues made him a target, but he continued undeterred, refusing to compromise his principles or his commitment to informing the public. On May 30th, 1984, Manuel Buendia was assassinated in broad daylight as he was leaving his office in Mexico City. He was shot 4 times in the back by an unknown assailant, an act that shocked the nation and highlighted the risks faced by those who dared to speak out against powerful interests. His death sent a chilling message to journalists across the country, signaling that reporting on corruption and crime could come at the ultimate cost. Following Buendia's murder, there was an outcry for justice, and the Mexican government launched an investigation to identify those responsible. The investigation into Buendia's death revealed a tangled web of corruption and complicity. Several individuals were implicated, including figures from law enforcement and the Mexican intelligence agency, DFS, Dirección Federal de Seguridad. In 1989, José Antonio Zorrilla Pérez, a former head of the DFS, was convicted of ordering Buendia's murder. However, many believe that the true masterminds behind the assassination have yet to be held accountable. Over the years, Buendia's murder has come to symbolize the dangers journalists face when confronting the powerful, and his case remains a haunting reminder of the unresolved issues surrounding freedom of the press in Mexico. Today, Manuel Buendia is remembered not only as a courageous journalist, but also as a martyr for press freedom. His work inspired a new generation of investigative journalists, and his legacy lives on through those who continue to report on corruption and injustice despite the risks. For many, Buendia's story underscores the importance of a free press in holding power to account, and serves as a call to action to protect journalists who work in the face of danger. In Mexico, where violence against journalists remains a pressing issue, Buendia's life and death remain a potent reminder of the essential role of journalism in a democratic society. The family murders. The family murders were a series of brutal and disturbing crimes that shook Adelaide, South Australia between 1979 and 1983. Over this 4-year period, 5 young men were abducted, sexually assaulted, tortured, and murdered. The victims' bodies were later found dumped in various locations around Adelaide, bearing signs of extreme and sadistic violence. This string of horrifying murders is believed to have been the work of a group of men known as the Family, a shadowy and sinister collective suspected of operating together in these heinous acts. The victims, Neil Muir, Alan Barnes, Mark Langley, Peter Stogneff, and Richard Kelvin, were all in their teens or early 20s. The commonalities between the cases suggested the work of a group. Each young man had been abducted, subjected to sexual abuse, and then killed. The extreme nature of the abuse suggested sadistic motivations, and forensic evidence indicated that multiple individuals might have been involved in these acts. The case soon earned its moniker, the Family Murders, due to suspicions of an organized ring of perpetrators working together in these crimes. In 1984, a significant breakthrough came with the arrest of Bevan Spencer von Einem, a local accountant. He was charged and convicted of the murder of Richard Kelvin, the final known victim. Forensic evidence linked von Einem to Kelvin's murder, and witness testimonies placed him in the company of known associates during the period of the other killings. During the investigation, numerous witnesses suggested that von Einem was part of a larger group involved in the murders, but authorities were unable to gather sufficient evidence to bring other suspects to trial. Despite von Einem's conviction, many believe that he did not act alone and that other members of the family remained at large. Over the years, there has been extensive speculation about the identities of the other individuals involved, and numerous leads have emerged, including potential links to high-profile figures in Adelaide. However, despite a renewed investigation in the 2000s, no further arrests were made. The case remains unsolved, and the identity of the remaining perpetrators, if any, continues to be a mystery. The lack of closure has left lingering pain for the victims' families and the Adelaide community, which was left reeling by the scale of the violence. Today, the family murders remain one of Australia's most notorious unsolved criminal cases. The possibility of a group of perpetrators who escaped justice continues to haunt those connected to the case. The murders have been the subject of numerous books, documentaries, and true crime investigations, as the public and the families of the victims continue to search for answers. The case serves as a chilling reminder of the horrors that can unfold in the shadows, and the importance of unrelenting pursuit of justice for the victims and their loved ones. Barnaul Mad Killer. The Barnaul Mad Killer is a notorious figure in Russian criminal history, responsible for a chilling series of murders that took place in the city of Barnaul, Siberia, during the late 1990s. This unidentified killer is believed to have murdered at least 7 women, sparking fear and paranoia in the community. His modus operandi involved stalking, attacking, and killing young women, with his crimes marked by a disturbing level of violence. Despite extensive investigations by law enforcement, the killer's identity remains unknown, and he has eluded capture to this day. The Barnaul Mad Killer's crimes followed a disturbing pattern. The victims were typically young women who were either students or working professionals, making them an integral part of the local community. Many were attacked as they walked home or ran errands. The bodies of these victims were often found in secluded areas on the outskirts of Barnaul, displaying signs of extreme violence. The savage nature of the attacks suggested that the killer derived pleasure from inflicting suffering, which added a particularly sinister dimension to the case. As news of the killings spread, residents in Barnaul were gripped with fear. The local police launched an intensive investigation, interviewing hundreds of people and setting up patrols around the city. Forensic experts analysed every piece of evidence they could find, hoping to catch a break in the case. Unfortunately, these efforts were met with limited success. While some potential suspects were briefly detained, none were conclusively linked to the murders, leaving the authorities and community desperate for answers. Various theories have emerged regarding the Barnaul Mad Killer's identity and possible motivations. Some criminologists have speculated that the killer may have experienced personal trauma that fueled his violent impulse, while others believe he may have been familiar with the city and its surroundings, giving him an advantage in evading capture. The lack of substantial evidence and the failure to identify the killer left the case open-ended, with many wondering if he was a local resident or someone who travelled through Barnaul specifically to carry out these murders. Today, the Barnaul Mad Killer remains a dark legend in Siberia, and his case remains one of Russia's most perplexing unsolved mysteries. Though the murders ceased and the city has since returned to a sense of normalcy, the killer's actions have left an indelible mark on Barnaul. His identity is still unknown, and with each passing year, the likelihood of solving the case diminishes. However, the memory of the victims and the chilling reminder of the dangers that once lurked in Barnaul ensure that this case will not be forgotten.